Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Former CFTC chairman, co-founder of the Digital Dollar Project, says a value protocol could, in fact, underpin the U.S. dollar dominance for the next 150 years. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. This button on this microphone, I don't know. Good morning, everybody. Oh, boy. Okay, so you can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com. It's $2.41 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 2.5%. 62,300 plus for Bitcoin, 3,000 plus for Ethereum, 111.4 billion plus market cap for Tether right now. 52-cent XRP, it's off by 2.1 to 24, but we're up by 6.4 on the 7 day. So let's look at the range of price, which was doing well yesterday, but we see we're ranging between 52 and 54 cents, almost 55 cents. We'll keep an eye on as the day goes. There's some interesting TA that you need to see that may really, I think you're going to like the snapshot of where this is. I mean, you tell me in the comments, right? We'll find out. But let's look at this information because there is really some great stuff to look at here today to shore up where we're at. So we know CBDCs take off, ISO 20022 adoption take off, mass cryptocurrency adoption equals take off, all simultaneously, all at once, no coincidences. He's highlighting here all of these things. Shout out to Smoke Dog here. ISO has been talked about for years. Why is it going to take off this time? Well, look, he's showing here obviously it's different this time. The high value payment market infrastructures of all reserve currencies are in process of adopting ISO 20022. So that's why. That's why, if you're looking to know why the answer is, it is because of that adoption, right? And that adoption is global, ladies and gentlemen. And when you have all of those currencies around the world connected, then you have that interoperability, or at least the ability to communicate with one another. And we know ISO 20022 allows for the coding of digital assets so you can move the actual value of the token along with that rich messaging data from the ISO 20022. So just want to level set right there for everybody. Remember, there's new people coming into the channel and the space all the time. We got to be sensitive to that as much as we can. ICICI Bank, Ripple Partner, UPI, BIS, connected to UPI, and BRICS. Remember, India's in BRICS coalition, right? So keep thinking of these things. And then here you see Chad sharing, the BIS is basing the unified ILP ledger largely on UPI, India, and Ripple. Partner Axis Bank is the largest private bank connected into UPI, BRICS coalition, because obviously India is in BRICS. A simple ID, no bank account needed, P2P, and look at this list of connected pay services below, including Amazon Pay. As you can see, he's highlighting here. You can see if I go into it, Amazon Pay, Access Mobile, Free Charge, Amazon Pay, Cred, Google Pay, Jupiter, Kiwi, all of it. Samsung Pay, Slice, you get WhatsApp, you get it, all the lists are there. But what I wanted to go back to is just to show how all of this to me, and I went too far back, but all of this to me is showing where we're going here. And I think you're going to get more evidence of that. BIS, Unified Ledger, ILP, we will be heavily influenced by the India's UPI, which we know is tied into Ripple, and there's a connection there. So they're referencing this. We know BIS has talked about this unified ledger. We know BIS has talked about mBridge, right? We know James Wallace has explained to us that XRP Ledger is, in fact, at least one of the models being studied at mBridge, if not the only model. That we don't know, but we certainly know that much. So this is all super exciting. And then there's this from Mr. Man, give him a follow. India proposes CBDC that can function offline. And then I was like, wow, how cool is that? And we know that that's super cool. But then it made me think of physical card-to-card payments based on the XRP Ledger and Interledger Protocol offline features. You remember this late last year in September? I do. So look, I don't know, and I can't prove to you that it's tied. The article doesn't suggest that it is tied to it, but it does talk about offline mode. And offline mode reminded me of this. We know the deep connections to India, which I just showed you in the BIS with UPI. So you have to, it leaves you wondering, right? You know, could XRP Ledger be involved somehow, or Interledger Protocol, in this whole moving offline mode that's being discussed by the Reserve Bank of India? Okay. All of this means what, right? All of this means to me that we're moving to a new digital realm, a new digital age. I know that this is not shocking news to anyone hearing this. You guys understand this as well as anyone. But what's interesting is, and I have to give a big thank you to Giancarlo, who I am a super, super fan of. I tell you, I really do love his work. I admire his work. I admire his thought process and how he sees and understands this space so well and so clearly. And I'm about to play a clip for you where I am on stage, and we will have the whole thing when we get the film footage from the property. It takes a little time. Look at it for, we'll look out for it in the next week or two. But on stage, we talked about many things, which you will soon see in the near future. But in this clip, and shout out to Rob Cunningham here, you're going to hear the former CFTC chairman, who in fact approved Bitcoin futures. So he is innovation positive. Talk about the idea, and listen, this is the beautiful thing about all of this. I get to take some of these speculative notions that we come up with, or speculative theories that we work with here because we're speculative investors, and I get to bounce them off of some of the world's top people in this space, like Giancarlo. And all of what I'm seeing about the UPI, the BIS, the Unified Ledger, the Universal Payment Interface from India, the offline CBDC payments and CBDCs that are being launched around the world, you know, when I see all of this, I start thinking of questions about the US dollar and how you keep it dominant, because we were on the gold standard originally to ensure that dominance at first. Then we came off of that and went to a petrodollar agreement. So in fact, directly and indirectly, there's always been a commodity to support the value and the elevated status of the US dollar as a global reserve currency. I firmly believe, the more I learn, the more I see at this point, a value protocol can underpin the US dollar and help it remain dominant for the next 150 plus years. I really do believe this, and I believe in combination with going back to some commodity or commodities basket backing this dollar on a value protocol like an XRP ledger. And I want you to take a listen to this clip right here very quickly here.
Commodity to back the dollar and put it on a value protocol that just happens to have a centralized ledger. Then we can underpin the dollar for the next 150 years, what they do. So I say yes.
So I say yes, right? This is not a guy who's scoffing at what we're talking about here. This is not a guy who says that isn't happening. This is not a guy who says that is ludicrous. This is not a guy who is going to tell me something just to make me happy because we're on stage. This man has integrity. This man has class. And if he did not align with something, because I've talked to him enough that if he didn't align with something, I could assure you he would not agree with it. He would not say so. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right about it being the XRP ledger. I'm saying that he is not saying no to the idea of some kind of value protocol supporting the dollar and having that represented as a way to understand the strength, because the reserves can be proven that back it. I think ultimately this understanding allows us to know that eventually that's where the banks are fighting this fight, because it'll force them to ultimately have to be backed completely and not fractionally, as the system has worked up until now. How are you going to provide a one-to-one surplus backing to ensure the dollar dominance for the next 150 years, but the banks continue to fractionally lend? It's all going to change. It all has to change because you can't have just a piece or a part of it change. It all has to change. And I believe a change is going to come. Linda P. Jones, shout out to Linda. It was so great to have her at XRP Las Vegas. And I didn't get a lot of time to say hi or anything like that because there was just so much going on, Linda. But obviously, always love when you're able to be there. And you were such a big player in last year's role. So we're so happy for you. We love you. Let's go right here. We had a fabulous time at XRP Las Vegas 2024. Let me share with you some important and timely information related to the conference. And there are plenty of points here. And she's going to give them to us, just a few here. Digital asset investor and XRP Snakey showed us the clip of Greg Kidd yesterday saying one of the most powerful quotes of the event, which was, traveling on things like the XRP ledger, this dollar, referring to that stablecoin, could be the currency of the world. Remember, Greg Kidd used to work for the Federal Reserve in Ripple. Interesting that he is one to announce XRP's true purpose, talking about XRP. And it reminded me of the time David Schwartz explained that if no country wanted to be dominated by another country who had control of the world's reserve currency, and there was a new system replacing it, countries would want it to be a decentralized and have no one country in control of the money. As Brad Kimes reminds us, a level playing field. And David said, and I loosely quote him here, if a few people, XRP holders, got rich as a result, so be it. But David has been even more direct. Remember this quote from a few years ago, where in the middle of rebuilding a financial system, and in 2017, it was even announced on Ripple's website where they said the simple goal of making XRP the world's reserve digital currency. That's where I originally got it from. This isn't a YouTuber tagline. This is exactly the goal of Ripple. Now, do I believe they've had to change that language because of regulators looking at them and being sued by the SEC? Yes, absolutely. But do I believe the goal has changed? Not at all. That is the goal. That remains the goal. The world's in trouble. And if we look around, the dollar's in a lot of trouble. And the rest of the countries of the world have been expressing that in large notion. Project Sandman, over 100 nations want to simultaneously de-dollarize and drop the dollar to harm all of us. BRICS Coalition has a new payment interface to deal with the problems and the sanctions of SWIFT so they don't have to use it anymore. They want to launch a central bank for BRICS Coalition so they can ultimately launch a gold-backed currency. They have said this openly. So while we may be struggling with the day-to-day and the smaller areas of adoption, which are very important and key, the macro understanding of what all is happening here for the larger reason is just as relevant. I have said it multiple times, we do not have to have the same reasons in order for all of us to fight for the same cause. That is the truth. Then you look at this. In 2025, ISO will be the global standard for high or large value payments in all reserve currencies and is projected to handle 80% of all transactions, including 87% of transaction value globally. How about that? In 2025. How about that? Well, wouldn't that be interesting? What does that look like for us? And what does it look like if Greg Kidd's correct and XRP could become, in fact, that, right? Like if you go back, like what Greg Kidd's saying here, traveling on things like the XRP ledger, this dollar could be the currency of the world. Is Greg Kidd foolish? Has he lost the plot? I just don't think so. But I don't diminish the effort of anybody who's working to build a smaller project on the XRP ledger. All of that. We need everything. This is all hands on deck the way I see it. Now let's take a look at this chart because I have 3 charts here that I want you to see very quickly. Breakout is on the horizon from XRP Captain. you can see we're here, but we could come all the way down and touch this, as he's illustrating and suggesting here. That you could see all of that come back and touch here. So a retracement of, if you will, and then off to the moon, we could have that, right? Well, there's more evidence of that exactly, because Eggrad Crypto shares this with the average sentiment oscillator. And if you look at this, just seeing how when they cross and go down, we see the downward run. Well, here we're looking at having a bearish cross. It's actually coming back down again. You can see it crossed and went up a little bit, and then now we're pulling back a little bit. And if it crosses and goes negative, it could be negative in regards to that little gap that needs to pull back in order for us to truly take off. And here you can see it again from Lud XRP Flare here. So London Flare is his name. And you can see here, we could see again, that retracement could come down and touch in this area, and then all of a sudden get that boom from there. That's what we're looking at. We don't know yet what will take place, but here's where we could possibly be in regards to 2016, 2017, if we're looking how history could potentially repeat itself. One thing I know is whether the charts are correct or not, right? And they're correct every day as far as living and breathing and representing what's happening, but whether the indicators show that we're actually going to explode or not, it remains to be seen. But what I do know is that we could possibly be seeing stablecoin legislation this year. Ripple is definitely planning on launching a stablecoin on Ethereum and the XRP ledger this year. I couldn't be more excited about the fact that that's happening and what that may do to XRP itself, or for XRP itself, and bringing real deep liquidity daily to the ledger and ETH. But more than that, I'm excited because I feel like the larger macro goal with the launching of stablecoin on ETH and the XRP ledger, and also seeing stablecoin legislation, and what that does to bring the United States of America back into the conversation as a leader of the fourth industrial revolution. All right, it's a busy day. If you guys would like to support digperspectives.com, you can for next to nothing at the Freedom Zone. I've got a lot going on today. I'm not going to attach something to this video, but I may throw some content in separately a little later. There's so many appointments. A lot of wrapping up from the conference. Even though it's over, still a lot of details and things and stuff that has to be shipped, and a lot of little crossing the T's and dotting the I's to put a real wrap on this thing. And we've already started to have my first meeting for XRP Las Vegas 2025 today at 12 o'clock. So we couldn't be more excited about that as well. So thank you to all of you, and we will catch all of you on the next one. Not financial advice from me or anyone else.